Well, greetings and salutations, everyone, and it is Saturday, live stream Saturday, 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope to see you all there, but today I have got one heck of a good upload to share with you all. Before we jump into it, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon and PayPal are in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost you a cent. Click that like button. Takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon. And folks, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all of these things, they really do help this channel to continue to grow and go. And yes, they definitely do matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to today's upload, shall we? Today's first encounter. I'd like to be as detailed as possible. I live about 15 or 20 minutes from the infamous Leeds Point, birthplace of the Jersey Devil. Growing up, we would often hang out in the Pine Barrens, playing paintball, riding dirt bikes, exploring old abandoned homes, and mudding. We grew up with the Jersey Devil lore very present in our lives. My sister is 12 years older than me, and her husband, new boyfriend at the time, took us out to Leeds Point. We would find old rundown homes, and he would say it was the old Leeds house to spook us and things like that. We never took it for more than local legend. As we got older, we became more fascinated, even tracked down the original house through locals. The house is just an old crumbling foundation at this point. My buddies and I hadn't been camping or riding in a while, so we decided we would do a 2-day ride and an all-day camp out and party all night for the weekend. I had just finished restoring a dirt bike that I had found in my brother's basement. I was super stoked to shred it, as it was my first and to this day only build. Out there and found a clearing that was quite odd. I heard about strange phenomena involving cleared circles that do not grow plants. Wasn't until a couple of hours ago that I heard about them being referred to as Devil's Tramping Ground, where demons would frequent. Seemed like an ideal spot to set up camp, as I was none the wiser at the time. We set up and rode all day and partied all night. Nothing strange occurred the first night. We woke up in the morning. It was overcast. The whole vibe of the day was off. They were calling for rain, but we were determined to get this last summer camping trip off. So we decided to stay. There was a large patch of gravel at one end of the camp. It was getting tramped down as we were consistently in and out of camp for drinks and gas over the 2 days. It will be relevant later. The second night, we all went to bed at around 12:30. Around 3 in the morning, I woke up and had to relieve myself badly, so I got out of the tent and went over to the edge of the campsite, opposite the gravel patch. As I did my business, everything got quiet. Mind you, it's summertime in New Jersey. The crickets, toads, even the birds around that time are usually singing away. I thought it was odd, but figured maybe I spooked them stumbling through the darkness. I started to get this very uneasy feeling of dread, like someone was watching me, and started to hear what sounded like hooves clomping on the gravel patch. It was dark, but the moon was bright, so I could make out silhouettes. I saw something on the other end of camp, by the gravel entrance. I thought a deer had wandered into our camp, but thought that's unlikely because New Jersey deer are afraid to death of humans. I think it realized I noticed it, and it shifted its head to the side almost with a puzzled look. When it did, the moonlight hit its eyes, revealing them to be a glowing red and beady. My self-preservation instincts kicked in, and I inched my way over to my tent, thinking if I moved slow enough, it wouldn't be able to tell that I was moving until I stepped on a beer can. The can-crushing sound startled whatever was standing there. I heard the clomping of hooves and what to me sounded like an enormous bird take off. I sat up the rest of the night, petrified. It began to rain around 5 in the morning. I went over to look for tracks by sunlight, and the area was washed out. I never told my friends. They wouldn't have believed me anyway. Now, really quick, anytime I hear anything of the Pine Barrens, I think back to a subscriber who had shared a couple of different encounters with us. He was camping out in the Pine Barrens, unfortunately, in the winter. He had was down on his luck at the time. And he kind of set his tent up in a way to kind of shield it from anyone noticing it and from the wind and the elements. But one night he was in his tent, and either a Dogman or a Sasquatch, he and I had talked about it a couple different times. His brother wants to think that it was, I think, Dogman, and he thinks it was a Sasquatch. I think it could have been both, but I'm leaning towards a Dogman, just because of certain things that had happened. And then shortly after, he sent me another encounter that he had more recent. And, it was a brief time that he was down on his luck. And, during that time, while he was living in the tent, he ended up buying a car, getting a job, and getting his life back in line. It wasn't anything major. He just had a hard time. Now he's got a family and a beautiful house out in Jersey, and one night his trail cam picked up what appeared to be a hyena-looking creature chasing 2 deer, one going one way, one going the other. An amazing photograph. I've got it saved in my Google file somewhere. But anytime I hear something about Jersey, I immediately think of that. That and the Weird World of New Jersey or whatever magazine they have, and Old Red Eyes, of course, which is just absolutely terrifying. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you guys. Let's move on. Today's second part of the upload. I live in Montana. My friend keeps seeing this big creature on his property. He's determined to find out what it is. He asked me to start keeping track of everything, and this is what happened in his perspective. His first encounter with this was back in 6/28/2021. Our encounter happened a few days after we moved in. For insight, we moved in on 6/25/2021. At this point, I'm still in crutches from a crash, so I'm not doing too much of lifting. So while my family were unboxing things and whatnot, I would sit on the porch and read, but today I noticed something while I was reading. I saw something off in the distance in the corner of my eye. I looked up and saw about 100 feet away from me at the edge of the forest what appeared to be a large, 4-legged animal. So I called my eldest son, Norman, and he comes out to the porch and said, "What's wrong, Dad? What's up?" I pointed to the animal, and a puzzled look comes over my son's face. "Why, Dad, that's the biggest dang wolf I had ever seen. Should I get the gun?" No, I said. "Let's just wait and see if it tries anything." "All right." So he walks back in. "Just holler if you need me, Dad." I kept my eyes on it as it crept around the tree line. Did this for a while until its head perked up and ran into the woods. Later that day, I told my wife, but she said it was just a big gray wolf, even though I was adamant that it was not. After that, we would see it off in the distance, and at night we would see its red glowing eyes, although usually much closer at night. One night we even saw it peeking through the windows. That night we scared it off with my shotgun. Another night I found out it had gotten into the chicken coop and took 3 of them. Norman spent the rest of that day looking for it, and that was a couple of days ago. I have not seen it since. The second encounter was 7/2/2021. I was driving home from the store. The road I took is very small, and it has thick woods on both sides. This road is so small that if cars are going both ways, sometimes you have to pull off slightly to the side to let the other car pass. Lots of greenery surrounds this road, and there are slight dips on either side. No streetlights or anything like that, so only illumination is the car's headlights. I'm driving and chatting with my wife on the phone. As she's talking to me, I'm looking ahead at the road, not really to the sides. All of a sudden, I glance slightly to the side and see this creature stepping onto the road. The creature's about 20 feet ahead, and to the left of me. All I see is this large black shape and glowing red eyes staring at me. I was able to see that it had pointed ears. I also noticed its front legs were much wider and thicker than its back legs. If you'd ever seen TV shows depicting the way vampires move, like super fast, almost glitching across, that's how this thing moved to get in front of me. 1 second, it's on the side of the road. Then, one quick stride later, it's in the middle of the road and beginning to approach my car. When it was 7 feet away, I started to honk my horn. This whole time, which is about 30 seconds, I had gone silent on the phone, and at this point my wife was yelling what's going on. I whispered to her that the wolf was back and hung up. I grabbed my handgun because clearly the horn was not working. The only thing the horn did was stop it in its tracks. It didn't scare it off. I began opening my right window and leaned out a bit, pointing the gun toward the eyes. I fired. The thing howled in pain and ran off into the woods. After that, I sped home and told my wife what had just happened. The next time I saw this thing was the next day. Late last night, at like 10 or so, I got home from the store. That's something I do almost every night, and my family told me 3 of these creatures tried to attack Norman while he was out in the barn. My sons, 17-year-old Norman and 16-year-old Evan, wanted to go find them. I allowed them, but told them to bring the dogs and some guns. This is what Norman told me happened. Myself and Evan headed out with a Winchester rifle in the Dobermans. As we got closer to the tree line, I'd say within 50 feet, one of the 3 pairs of glowing red eyes started heading toward us, and we were able to see the large form of a wolf-like beast. Evan immediately started shooting, and quickly I did as well, but it kept coming. I turned around and grabbed my brother, and we started running. We got back into the house and saw the creature stepping onto the porch. Because the porch light was on, we got a clear look at it. This creature was probably around 11 feet long, standing 4 feet at the shoulders, and its front legs are considerably beefier than the back. They kind of look like someone replaced the front legs with arms. The head looked like your average wolf, but scalped up and much meaner looking. Its fur was blackish gray with white here and there. The eyes were glowing bright red. I started to tremble as the only thing standing between us and this creature was a thin sheet of glass. As we watched, we saw the other 2 approach the porch, and out of nowhere, my dad limps over and kind of pushes us aside, pops open the window, and shoots this creature at point-blank range with a shotgun. Now, unlike last time, the creature didn't run, so I slammed the window shut and turned the lights off. After a little while, the creature headed back into the forest. My son Norman yelled, "Dad, these things are immune to bullets." "I think you might be right," I said to him. After much discussion between myself and my friend, we agreed that it may be the creature that someone saw at Skinwalker Ranch, the large wolf-like thing. Maybe a Dogman, we're not really sure. We have not seen it since, though. Today's third encounter. Back in 2018, I was 18. I was told by MEPS, or Military Entrance Processing Station, that I would be going to infantry school in Fort Benning, Georgia in 2019. My parents asked me to walk the family dog. He's an 80-pound purebred chocolate lab named Coco. I decided to go to the usual spot. I haven't seen anything strange out there. My roommate was out there when I found the first sign of evidence. We traveled to one of the ponds that was on course, and I found a weird set of tracks. It was large bird tracks, and then it slowly morphed into dog or wolf tracks. I asked my roommate about it, and he didn't know. I only had a small amount of data about this, but it matched up to what I thought was a skinwalker. The tracks changed in the snow to a different animal was the first sign, and I didn't want to stick around and find a 150-pound coyote or wolf. We headed back to my house and didn't speak of it again. The following day I went to the same place, but this time I saw something in the distance. It looked human from the start, but as I got closer I knew what it was. I watched it slowly turn into a wolf. I didn't want to make any sudden movements. My dog was scared and lying helplessly next to me. I waited till it went away, but it didn't. It's like it knew I was there. About 10 minutes pass, and this creature heads to a wooded patch that's across the street. I decide to use this opportunity to run home. I never saw it again. I still go to that patch of woods. I went out there in 2019 with my fiance and family dog and never saw anything. It's weird, as when I'm alone I find things, but when I'm accompanied I don't. If I have any advice, I'd say never travel in the woods or any place that has a lot of trees or places to hide alone. And if you have to travel alone, then bring something to defend yourself with. Please, everyone, stay safe. Really quick before we get into the last part of the upload, for the last couple of weeks I've been dealing with something health-wise that I will not talk about any further on this channel, but I am now dealing with something that is really taking its toll on me physically and mentally, but more so physically. My stomach aches, body pains, hot flashes, and stuff like that. So today's upload, the first part sounds really good. The second part right after this is a little off. It took me almost 8 times recording it. My stomach is killing me. I'm drained, physically drained. This is the best part that I could record. I tried to record it, like I said, 7 or 8 times, and it really took it out of me today. So, I apologize. It's not that bad, but you can tell the difference. And I have OCD, and so if something doesn't feel right to me, I don't like it putting it out, and upload. But that's why it sounds different. So I apologize first and foremost. So I hope you guys enjoy it. All right, today's final encounter. So with my channel growing, a lot of subscribers have reached out and said, "Hey Jeff, you've talked about your encounter. We can't find it. Can you share it with us or share a link?" Tonight I'm going to take some time and share it with those who have not heard it. The encounter took place in the foothills of the Adirondacks between 2 touristy towns, one called Saratoga, New York, the other Lake George, New York. Saratoga is to the south, Lake George is to the north. Saratoga is for rich, old white people that are just old money, just snooty, snobby, into horse racing and gross, expensive food that probably tastes like dirty feet. And the other town is Lake George, where it's Six Flags, a beautiful lake, lots of camping, video games on the strip, small little towns, just really cool little town, but both for tourists. And then my town, which is right in the middle, and then that's farmland and woods. So that's where my encounter took place, and it happened in the summer of 1994. So at this time, we are 4 of us and myself are cruising around. My friend Gabe is driving us around in this bluish gray, silverish land yacht. I want to say it was a Cutlass, but I'm not sure. Now, one of the girls that we're with lives just up the road in a cul-de-sac that had been built 2 or 3 years prior. Same layout as the cul-de-sac that we just pulled into, which is skeleton houses. Some have the rafters, some don't. There's a telephone pole in the middle of it with this like weird orange glowing light. And we pull in. Gabe parks on the opposite side of where the houses are being built. Now behind those houses is nothing but woods. You hit woods for 2 or 3 miles, then the Hudson River, then more woods. So we're parked. We jump out of the car. Gabe's still in the car. Thank God he is, because who knows what would have happened if he had turned the car off and gotten out. And so we weren't drinking, we weren't smoking weed, we weren't doing anything. We were just hanging out, being kids. We jump out of the car, myself, Martin, and the 2 girls. We're listening to Biohazard, just jamming out, having a good time. I'll never forget what we were listening to. So we're talking, hanging out. I don't know how long goes by. We're probably out there for 20 to 30 minutes. And nothing, We've got the music cranked so we can't hear the silence if that's going on. When all of a sudden we hear this just howl, screech, whatever you want to call it. It didn't sound like anything we had ever heard. Now, the girl that was with us that lived just up from where we are now, her dad's a taxidermist, hunter. She had gone out in the woods with him many times, plus she grew up here too. So we're all familiar with the sounds of what lurks in our woods, and this is nothing like that. Now, it's 1994, and vampire movies are very popular at this time. So instantly we're all like, vampire, oh my God, what the heck? Now, as the girls are, I don't know, not really frantically running around, but they're nervous, heading towards the car. I don't know. I'm nervous. We're all nervous. We hear this sound. I get the chills talking about this encounter. We hear branches breaking. It sounds like there is multiple things out in the woods. And then we see eye shine. Now, the eye shine that we see is this orangish yellow color. It looks like fire. And we see it at multiple different heights. Maybe 4.5 feet, 6 feet, 8 feet. And by now, the girls are freaking out. They're scrambling around, running for the car. Martin and I are standing in front of the car. Martin's Czechoslovakian, so he's like, Jeff, we gotta get into the car. What the hell? I'm standing there going, what is this? I'm not being brave at any point. I'm more baffled, curious of what was in front of me. So finally, I get in the car. Now, mind you, we're seeing these things. We don't see them yet. We just see the eye shine. And Gabe pulls out, and we go right onto Route 9. And as we turn onto Route 9, we see this creature come out of the woods. The only way I can describe it is a muscular but skinny creature with a very dog-like face. And how this creature's walking, it looks like it shouldn't be walking on Earth, to be honest. How it moved so strangely. So we pull out, and I'm like, what the hell is that? Everyone's like Sasquatch, because we hadn't heard of Dogman at the time. No one's talking about Dogman. The only thing that we know is werewolves. This is pre-internet, so for the next forever I'd been obsessed. Anyway, we go back the next day, me and Martin. And we get out of the car. We get out of his truck. And we're looking for tracks. One of the foremen of the workers comes over and he's like, what the hell are you guys doing out here? He thinks like we're scoping the place out to rob the place, or rob wood, steal tools, whatever. And we just tell him, hey, we're looking for my buddy's dogs. A couple of them got loose. So anyway, we see these tracks. Foreman comes. We're like, hey, we're looking for my friend's dog. Yada yada. This guy goes, last night before we packed up, it sounded like there was a bunch of dogs out here. And me and my friend looked at each other and we were like, what the heck? So at this point, we're just blown away. We leave. We end up going to these old bookstores where they sell like, I don't know, old cryptid books. I still have the first cryptid book I ever bought. And I'm looking for answers. We're thinking now that it's some sort of demon, werewolf, whatever. We're just freaked out. And from that point on, I have become obsessed with the Dogman. Prior to that, I've always been obsessed with the paranormal. I've loved UFO stories, Bigfoot stories, ghost stories, everything. Anything unexplainable, I've been obsessed with since that time. And so that is my encounter. All right, folks. So there was some pretty terrifying encounters, and yes, mine at the end. But I want to share this video clip. I shared it yesterday, and apparently I thought it would get a heck of a lot more views than it did. I've watched this video clip at least 200 times. Broke it down, kept staring, and I honestly am about 89.9% positive that this is a Bigfoot. I may be wrong. But to me, that 10.1% of it not being a Bigfoot doesn't really hold any weight. I've watched it. I've watched how it moves. I've watched how it sits. And it blends in like a bush. And the person that took this video was just taking a video of the surrounding area as they're on a train and caught this amazing video clip. Guys, once again, I'm not an expert and I don't normally share my opinion, but that's my opinion. Check it out. If you just watch this clip a couple of times and honestly just focus on the leg movements, the arm movements, maybe watch it 3 times in a row, focusing on the legs, then the arms, then how it sits, then how it moves, then how it turns its head, turns its body. It's just something unhuman, but yet human to it. Is it a Bigfoot? I don't know. To me, it looks very, very compelling. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's upload as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I cannot wait to see you all at tonight's live stream, 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. With that being said, your support is what makes this channel so special and what continues to make it grow and go. Thank you. Please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on your children, the most precious commodity on this world. Our pets, our family, and friends. These creatures are real. They are out there. Share a little bit of information that we share with each other on a daily basis here with those that you love and care about, and it may just save their life someday. God bless you all and have a blessed, wonderful day.